Hello and welcome to this continuing First Look Exploring session, our second and final session looking at The Witch by Thomas Middleton. It's a play that's full of all sorts of things to warm the cockles of your heart. It's a nice, cheerful tale of happy cooking recipes and lovely family interactions and just full of people just to warm your. It's such lovely characters. I mean, we just love them all. They're so nice. There's some really horrific things going on this. We've had dead babies thrown on into pots and violin playing cats and just people just behaving really appallingly. Let's just put it this way: if you're ever invited round to the Duke's for a drinks party, just say no. Just say no. There's some nasty things that happened last time. There may be more nasty things happening along. There's a lot of witchcraft going on. So without further ado, we're going to dive in at Act 3, Scene 2. That's where we're continuing our journey to find out whether it lands in a way that the room finds enjoyable or whether they're all just horribly disappointed. Reading today, Hecate and the Governor is...
Hello, my name is Elizabeth Amisu, and I'm an author based in Romford.
Reading Antonio Stadlin, First Witch and Amoretta is...
Hi, I'm Eric, and my laptop is resting on a book about coffee, hoping that it will wake it up a bit.
Reading Abberzanes, Hoppo and the Duke is...
Hi, Dan, actor based in Montpellier, France.
Reading Florida, Witches, generally, Second Witch, Almachildes is...
Hello, I'm Emma Kemp. I'm an actor and I'm in London.
Reading Gaspero, Puckle and Fernando is...
Briony, Sparrow, actor in the East Midlands.
Reading Sebastian and Malkin is...
Hello, I'm Lynn Freitas. I am a college composition teacher. I'm wearing my teacher costume this morning. I'm coming to you from the northwestern United States.
Reading Francisca, Firestone and Hermio is...
Rachael, actor on the East Coast.
And reading Isabella, Duchess, and also stepping in to be host when I have to unexpectedly disappear is...
Sarah Blake, actor, writer, director, and for one day only, Mini-Rob.
And I'm your host, Robert Crighton. For a percentage of the time, I'm going to disappear in about half an hour and then hopefully return. So without further ado, we're going to dive into Act 3, Scene 2, and enter Gaspero and Florida.
Prithee, be careful of me. Very careful now.
I warrant you, he that cannot be careful of a queen can be careful of nobody. 'Tis every man's humour that I should ne'er look to a wife half so handsomely.
Oh, softly, sweet sir. Should your mistress meet me now in her own house, I were undone forever.
Never fear her. She's at her prick-song close. There's all the joy she has or takes delight in. Look, here's the garden key. My master gave it me, and willed me to be careful. Doubt not you on it.
Your master is a noble, complete gentleman, and does a woman all the right that may be.
Enter Sebastian in disguise, and exit Florida perhaps around about here.
Oh no, what's she?
A kind of doubtful creature. I'll tell thee more anon.
Exit Gaspero and Florida if not already exited.
I know that face to be a strumpet's, or mine eye is envious and would fain wish it so, where I would have it. I fail if the condition of this fellow wears not about it a strong scent of baseness. I saw her once before here, 5 days since 'tis, and the same wary panderous diligence was then bestowed on her. She came altered then, and more inclining to the city tuck. Whom should this piece of transformation visit after the common courtesy of frailty in our house here? Surely not any servant. They are not kept so lusty, and she so low. I am at a strange stand.
Enter Gaspero.
Love and luck assist me. The truth I shall win from him by false play, now he's returned. Well, sir, as you were saying, go forward with your tale.
What? I know nothing.
The gentlewoman.
She's gone out at back door now.
Then farewell she, and you, if that be all.
Come, come, thou shalt have more. I have no power to lock myself up from thee.
So methinks.
You shall not think. Trust me, sir, you shall not. Your ear, she's one of the falling family, a queen my master keeps. She lies at Rutney's.
Is't possible? I thought I had seen her somewhere.
I tell you truth sincerely. She has been thrice here by stealth within these 10 days, and departed still with pleasure and with thanks, sir. 'Tis her luck. Surely I think if ever there were man bewitched in this world, 'tis my master, sirrah.
Thinkest thou so, Gaspar?
Oh, sir, too apparent.
This may prove happy. 'Tis the likeliest means that fortune yet e'er showed me.
And enter Isabella.
You're both here now, and strangers newly lighted. Where's your attendance?
I know what makes you wash-fish. A pox on it. She'll be every day angry now at nothing.
And exit Sebastian Gaspero, leaving Isabella.
I'll call her a stranger ever in my heart. She has killed the name of sister through base lust, and fled to shifts. Oh, how her brother's good thoughts may be beguiled in woman. Here's a letter, found in her absence, reports strangely of her, and speaks her impudence. She has undone herself. Oh, I could not hold from weeping when I read it. Abused her brother's house and his good confidence. 'Twas done not like herself. Oh, I blame her much. But if she can but keep it from his knowledge, I will not grieve him first. It shall not come by my means to his heart.
Enter Gaspero.
Now, sir, the news.
You called 'em strangers. 'Tis my master's sister, madam.
Oh, is't so? She's welcome. Who comes with her?
I see none but Abberzanes.
And exit Gaspero again.
He's enough to bring a woman to confusion, more than a wiser man or a far greater. A letter came last week to her brother's hands to make way for her coming up again, after her shame was lightened, and she writ there the gentleman her mother wished her to, taking a violent surfeit at a wedding, died ere she came to see him. What strange cunning sin helps a woman to? Here she comes now.
Enter Abberzanes and Francisca.
Sister, you're welcome home again.
Thanks, sweet sister.
You have had good speed?
What says she? I have made the best speed I could.
I well believe you. Sir, we're all much beholding to your kindness.
My services, madam, to a gentlewoman. I took a bonny mare I keep. I met her some 10 mile out of town, 11, I think. 'Twas at the stump I met you, I remember, at the bottom of the hill.
'Twas thereabout, sir.
Full 11 then, by the rod, if they were measured.
You look ill, methinks. Have you been sick of late? Troth, very bleak, does she not? How think you, sir?
Oh, no, a little short riding, shattering sore.
I ever look lean after a journey, sister. One shall do that was travelled hard.
Till evening, I commend you to yourselves, ladies.
At Abberzanes.
Trusting too if you were hanged. You're well acquainted with his hand went out now?
His hand?
I speak of nothing else. I think 'tis there.
And gives Francisca a letter.
Please you to look upon it. And when you have done, if you did weep, it could not be amiss. A sign you could say grace after a full meal. You had not need look paler, yet you do. 'Twas ill done to abuse yourself and us, to wrong so good a brother, and the thoughts that we both held of you. I did doubt you much before our marriage day, but then my strangeness and a better hope still kept me off from speaking. Yet may you find a kind and peaceful sister of me if you desist here and shake hands with folly, which you have more cause to do than I to wish you, as truly I bear a love to goodness your brother knows not yet on it, nor shall ever for my part, so you leave his company. But if I find you impudent in sinning, I will not keep it an hour. Nay, prove your enemy, and you know who will aid me. As you have goodness, you may make use of this. I'll leave it with you.
Exit Isabella.
Here's a sweet churching after a woman's labor, and a fine give you joy. Why, where the devil lay you to be found out? The sudden hurry of hastening to prevent shame brought shame forth. That's still the curse of all lascivious stuff. Misdeeds could never yet be wary enough. Now must I stand in fear of every look, nay, tremble at a whisper? She can keep it secret? That's very likely in a woman too. I'm sure I could not do't, and I am made as well as she can be for any purpose. 'Twould never stay with me 2 days, I have cast it. The third would be a terrible sick day with me. Not possible to bear it. Should I then trust to her strength in't that lies every night whispering the daily news in a husband's ear? No. And I have thought upon the means, blessed fortune. I must be quit with her in the same fashion, or else 'tis nothing. There's no way like it, to bring her honesty into question cunningly. My brother will believe small likelihoods coming from me too. I, lying now i' the house, may work things to my will beyond conceit too. Disgrace her first, her tale will never be heard. I learned that counsel first of a sound guard. I do suspect Gaspero, my brother's squire there, had some hand in this mischief, for he's cunning, and I perhaps may fit him.
Enter Antonio.
Your sister told me you were come. Thou art welcome.
Where is she?
Who? My wife?
Aye, sir.
Within.
Not within hearing, think you?
Within hearing? Why, what's that? What's thy conceit in that? Why shakes thy head so and looks so pale and poorly?
I am a fool indeed to take such grief for others. For your fortune, sir.
My fortune? Worse things yet. Farewell life, then.
I fear you're much deceived, sir, in this woman.
Who? In my wife? Speak low, come hither. Softly, sister.
I love her as a woman you made choice of, but when she wrongs you, natural love is touched, brother, and that will speak, you know.
I trust it will.
I held a shrewd suspicion of her lightness at first when I went down, which made me haste the sooner. But more, to make amends at my return now, I found apparent signs.
Apparent, sayest thou?
Aye, and a base lust too, that makes the affliction.
There has been villainy wrought upon me then, 'tis too plain now.
Happy are they, I say still, that have their sisters living i' the house with them, their mothers or some kindred, a great comfort to all poor married men. It is not possible a young wife can abuse a husband then, 'tis found straight, but swear secrecy to this, brother.
To this and to all thou wilt have.
Then this follows, sir.
And she whispers to him.
I praise thy counsel well. I'll put it in use straight.
And exit Francisca, and a moment enter Isabella.
See where she comes herself. Kind, honest lady, I must borrow a whole fortnight's leave of thee.
How, sir? A fortnight's?
It may be but 10 days. I know not yet. It's this business for the state, and it must be done.
I wish good speed to it then.
Why, that was well spoke. I'll take but a footboy. I need no more. The rest I'll leave at home to do you service.
Use your own pleasure, sir.
Till my return, you'll be good company, my sister and you.
We shall make shift, sir.
I'm glad now she's come, and so the wishes of my love to both.
And exit Antonio.
And our good prayers with you, sir.
Enter Sebastian, still disguised.
Now, fortune, by your kind favor, madam.
With me, sir.
The words shall not be many, but the faithfulness and true respect that is included in them is worthy your attention, and may be put upon me the fair repute of a just, honest servant.
What's here to do, sir? There's such a great preparation toward.
In brief, that goodness in you is abused, madam. You have the married life, but 'tis a strumpet that has the joy on it, and the fruitfulness. There goes away your comfort.
How a strumpet?
Of 5 years' cost and upwards, a dear mischief, as they are, all of them. His fortnight's journey is to that country, if it be not rudeness to speak the truth. I have found it all out, madam.
Thou'st found out thine own ruin, but to my knowledge thou dost belie him basely. I dare swear he's a gentleman as free from that folly as ever took religious life upon him.
Be not too confident in your own abuse, madam, since I have begun the truth. Neither your frowns, the only curse that I have on earth because my means depend upon your service, nor all the execration of man's fury shall put me off. Though I be poor, I'm honest and too just in this business. I perceive now too much respect and faithfulness to ladies may be a wrong to servants.
Art thou yet so impudent to stand in it?
Are you yet so cold, madam, in the belief on it? There my wonders fixed, having such blessed health and youth about you, which makes the injury mighty.
Why, I tell thee it were too great a fortune for thy lowness to find out such a thing. Thou does not look as if thou art made for it. By the precious sweets of love, I would give half my wealth for such a bargain, and think 'twere bought too cheap. Thou canst not guess thy means and happiness should I find this true. First I'll prefer thee to the lord my uncle. He's governor of Ravenna. All the advancements in the kingdom flow from him. What need I boast that which common fame can teach thee?
Then thus, madam, since I presume now on your height of spirit and your regard to your own youth and fruitfulness, which every woman naturally loves and covets, accept but of my labor and directions. You shall both find your wrongs, which you may right at your own pleasure, yet not missed tonight here in the house neither. None shall take notice of any absence in you, as I have thought on it.
Do this, and take my praise and thanks forever.
As I deserve, I wish them, and will serve you.
And they exit. But before we pause, we're going to dive into the end of Act 3 with Scene 3. Enter Hecate, Stadlin, Hoppo, Puckle, and other witches and Firestone. Which fun, which action?
The moon's a gallant. See how brisk she rides.
Here's a rich evening, Hecate.
Aye, is it not, wenches, to take a journey of 5,000 miles?
Ours will be more tonight.
Oh, 'twill be precious. Heard you the owl yet?
Briefly in the copse as we came out now.
'Tis high time for us then.
There was a bat hung at my lips 3 times as we came through the woods and drank her fill. Old Puckle saw her.
You are fortunate still. The very shriek owl lights upon your shoulder and woos you like a pigeon. Are you furnished? Have you your ointments?
Oh.
Prepare to flight then. I'll overtake you swiftly.
Hie thee, Hecate. We shall be up betimes.
I'll reach you quickly.
And everyone exits apart from Hecate and Firestone.
They're all going a-birding tonight. They talk of fowls of the air that fly by day. I am sure there'll be a company of foul sluts there tonight, if we have no If we have not mortality after it, I'll be hanged. For they are able to putrefy it, to infect a whole region. She spies me now.
What? Firestone, our sweet son?
A little sweeter than some of you, where a dunghill were too good for me.
How much hast here?
19, and all brave plump ones, besides 6 lizards and 3 serpentine eggs.
Dear and sweet boy, what herbs hast thou?
I have some mamartin and mandragon.
Mamaritin and mandragora, thou wouldst say? Here's panax too, I thank thee.
My pan aches, I am sure, with kneeling down to cut 'em.
And celigo, hedge hyssop too. How near he goes my cuttings? Were they all cropped by moonlight?
Every blade of 'em, or I am a moon calf, mother.
Hie thee home with 'em. Look well to the house tonight. I am for a loft.
A loft, quoth you. I would you would break your neck once, that I might have all quickly. Hark, hark, mother, they are above the steeple already, flying over your head with a noise of musicians.
They indeed. Help me. I'm too late else.
And here we have a song of the flying witches to follow.
Come away, Hecate, come away.
I come. With all the speed I may. Where's Stadlin?
Here.
Where's Puckle?
Here.
And Hoppo too, and Helwain too. We lack but you. Come away, make up the count.
I will but noint, and then I mount. A spirit like a cat descends.
There's one comes down to fetch his dues, a kiss, a call, a sip of blood. And why thou stay so long, I muse, since the air's so sweet and good.
Oh, art thou come? What news?
All goes still to our delight. Either come or else refuse.
Now I am furnished for the flight.
Hark, hark, the cat sings a brave treble in her own language.
Now I go, now I fly, Malkin, my sweet spirit, and I. Oh, what a dainty pleasure 'tis to ride in the air, when the moon shines fair, and sing and dance and toy and kiss, over woods, high rocks and mountains, over seas, over misty fountains, over steeples, towers and turrets. We fly by night 'mongst troops of spirits. No ring of bells to our ears sounds, no howls of wolves, no yelps of hounds. No, not the noise of water's breach, or cannon's throat our height can reach. No ring of bells.
And there the various other voices continue singing Ring of Bells, etc. As Hecate flies in some fashion, leaving Firestone behind.
Well, mother, I thank your kindness. You must be gamboling in the air and leave me to walk here like a fool and a mortal.
And they exit Firestone. End of Act 3. Musical number, flying. Yeah, I mean, it's basically we're going on a jet plane. Don't know when Hecate will be back again. So yeah, that's the entirety of the scene. I mean, it's great fun. It doesn't really add anything, but it's great fun, so who cares? Whereas the previous scene was so full of stuff. So many little people were whisking on and off. Isabella's decided to be really self-important about having discovered what her sister-in-law has been up to. I really like the way Abberzanes, when he comes in, overdoes his lie. It's like that thing of when somebody's lying, of just, you weren't asked this lengthy question to be explained about how you met and all this stuff, but he just can't help but say it, and it's just, yeah. That's really nicely seen from this relatively minor character. And then these various exchanges. I love the way that Francisca sort of just goes, right, okay, I'm in trouble now. I must discredit the person who has the evidence. Brother, yeah, this is not a good family. This is not a good family dynamic. Yeah, and everybody's stirring all over the place for their own agendas. Yeah, it's not a good place. Who wants to go first? Lynn, then Rachael, then Eric. Lynn, you're currently muted.
Of course I'm muted. That's my way. Yeah, there's just so much that we've just done, but there's one detail I just kind of want to look at, when Sebastian says, of Isabella, I think, I know why you're so cranky. I know why you're so irritable. I'm guessing that's because her husband has not been able to consummate their marriage. Just sort of, I want to know if that's anybody else's interpretation of that. And yeah, the other thing I kind of want to throw out for discussion is Francisca's decision to falsely accuse her sister-in-law of being unfaithful as a way of discrediting her, deflecting blame. Yeah, I'm not really buying it. I really wonder if that would work, or if the audience would be like, what? What do people think?
Well, gather your thoughts on that one while we go through Rachael and Eric and see what people come back with.
No, I was going to ask about Isabella saying those things to Francisca. I'm going off of Pride and Prejudice here, but like, wouldn't it negatively affect Isabella too to, put that information out there that her unmarried, sister-in-law, was carrying on and having an affair with somebody, or had a baby or child or something? Wouldn't that hurt the reputation of their family?
Yes. Would she carry out the threat, or is it as effectively? I mean, she sort of suggests earlier that Isabella does sort of say, "Well, obviously, I'm not necessarily going to tell everyone this." So maybe it's more a power play. I mean, it's a really good point, Eric.
No, I was just going to go back to the whole dynamic of people wanting other people to fail in some way or die or be injured or something, and just kind of I did enjoy Firestone and going, I hope you fall off the broomstick. It's like, and I know this probably is not proper, but or appropriate to the time, but I just imagine the witches having goggles for their flight.
Yeah, I think the staging options for that witch scene is incredibly fun. There's so much potential to it. I'm going to hand over to Sarah now to run the room as I'm going to disappear. I hopefully will be able to return later. Ta-ta, everyone.
Marvellous. Right, where were we? Does anyone have anything further to add about that scene, or in fact those two scenes that we just ran back to back? Lynn?
Oh, as far as Isabella's motivation goes, yes, it would reflect poorly on her whole family if Francisca's affair were to be revealed, which is, I think, part of her motivation for this kind of blackmail or coercion. It's like, end it, or I tell your brother. Because the longer she carries on with this man, the higher the chances that it's going to be discovered. So she's saying, okay, we're going to let it go and pretend it never happened, but you have to break it off with this guy and live a better life. Partly because if as long as she carries on, gets pregnant again or something like that, as the greater the chances that it's going to be discovered by someone else, and then the whole family's reputation is compromised.
Yeah. And she sort of says, it's like, I will tell everyone if you continue with this impudence, doesn't she? So it's more of a threat than perhaps a reality. Anyone got anything else to add? No. Right then, let us move on. We've had all the witchy business, and now we go back, I think, to to the non-supernatural world with Act 4, Scene 1, and we have enter the name that no one can pronounce, Almachildes? Almachildes? I have no idea. Anyway, take it away, Alma.
Though the fates have endued me with a pretty kind of lightness that I can laugh at the world in a corner on't, and can make myself merry on fasting nights to rub out a supper, which were a precious quality in a young formal student. Yet let the world know there is some difference betwixt my jovial condition and the lunary state of madness. I am not quite out of my wits. I know a board from an aquavitae shop, a strumpet from wildfire, and a beadle from brimstone. Now shall I try the honesty of a great woman soundly. She, reckoning the dukes made away, I'll be hanged if I be not the next now. If I trust her, as she's a woman, let one of her long hairs wind about my heart and be the end of me, which were a piteous, lamentable tragedy, and might be entitled A Fair Warning for All Hair Bracelets. Already there's an insurrection among the people. They are up in arms, not out of any reason, but their wills, which are in them their saints, sweating and swearing, out of their zeal to rudeness, that no stranger, as they term her, shall govern over them. They say they'll raise a duke among themselves first.
And enter the Duchess, who I am playing. Oh, Almachildes, I perceive already our loves are born to crosses. We're beset by multitudes, and which is worse, I fear me, unfriended too of any. My chief care is for thy sweet youth's safety.
He that believes you not goes the right way to heaven, on my conscience.
There is no trusting of them. They are all as barren in pity as in faith. He that puts confidence in them dies openly to the sight of all men, not with his friends and neighbours in peace private, but as his shame, so his cold farewell is public and full of noise. But keep you close, sir, not seen of any till I see the way plain for your safety. I expect the coming of the Lord Governor, whom I will flatter with fair entreaties to appease their wildness, and before him make a great grief upon me for the Duke's death, his strange and sudden loss. And when a quiet comes, expect thy joys.
I do expect now to be made away twixt this and Tuesday night. If I live Wednesday, say I have been careful and shunned spoon meat.
And he exits. This fellow lives too long after the deed. I'm weary of his sight. He must die quickly, or I've small hope of safety. My great aim's the Lord Governor's love. He is a spirit can sway in countenance. These obey and crouch. My guiltlessness had need of such a master that with a beck can suppress multitudes and dim misdeeds with radiance of his glory, not to be seen with dazzled popular eyes. And here enters the Lord Governor. And here behold him come.
Return back to 'em. Say we desire 'em to be friends of peace till they hear farther from us.
Oh, my lord, I fly into the pity of your nobleness, the grievous lady that was e'er beset with storms of sorrows or wild rage of people. Never was woman's grief for loss of lord dearer than mine to me.
There's no right done to him now, madam, by wrong done to yourself. Your own good wisdom may instruct you so far, and for the people's tumult, which oft grows from liberty or rankness of long peace, I'll labour to restrain, as I've begun, madam.
My thanks and prayers shall never forget you, sir, and in time to come, my love.
Your love, sweet madam, you make my joys too happy. I did covet to be the fortunate man that blessing visits, which I'll esteem the crown and full reward of service present and deserts to come. It is a happiness I'll be bold to sue for, when I have set a calm upon these spirits that now are up for ruin.
Sir, my wishes are so well met in yours, so fairly answered and nobly recompensed. It makes me suffer in those extremes that few have ever felt, to hold two passions in one heart at once, of gladness and of sorrow.
Then, as the olive is the meek ensign of fair, fruitful peace, so is this kiss of yours.
Love's power be with you, sir.
How she has betrayed her. May I breathe no longer than to do virtue service and bring forth the fruits of noble thoughts, honest and loyal. This will be worth observing, and I'll do it.
And he exits. What a sure happiness confirms joy to me, now in the times of my most imminent dangers. I looked for ruin, and increase of honour meets me auspiciously. Oh, but my hopes are clogged now with an unworthy weight. There's the misfortune. What course shall I take now with this young man? For he must be no hindrance. I have thought on it. I'll take some witch's counsel for his end. That will be surest. Mischief is mischief's friend. And she exits, and that's the end of that scene. Oh, the plot thickens. That was quite a short scene, but we packed an awful lot in there. So, yeah, Alma's got a red shirt on, by the looks of things. It took me a minute, though, to realise that actually this is after the Duke's been murdered already. That's happened, like, off stage. Because, like, last time they were still plotting, weren't they?
Yeah.
Right, okay. That's interesting that we didn't have... Just because such a big thing had been made of the Duke with the skull, I thought maybe it might be... We might see that actually happen. Lynn, then Eric.
Yeah, I was thinking about that point, that like some big stuff has happened off stage. The assassination has taken place, and there's evidently kind of a popular rebellion as a pushback to that. For some reason, the people like this Duke, and then the governor is trying to maintain order, and the Duchess is concerned that her plot to assassinate her husband and basically grab power is backfiring. So yeah, an awful lot has happened and has to be expounded in this scene. This play is beginning to feel a little like 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bag. we're trying to stuff so much plot into 2.5 hours or whatever. Is that going to be a deliberate effect that a production could make work, or is that going to be a problem? That's just a question. The other thing is, again, a small point. So Alma, whatever, keeps saying, oh, I don't trust this Duchess, and she's probably going to obey the first rule of political assassination, and that's kill the assassin. So there's this line that he has as an aside, if I, she's going to, basically, I'm going to be made away between tonight and Tuesday, and if I live till Wednesday, I'll be surprised. And then as soon as he exits, the Duchess says, this guy's lived too long. That's got to be a laugh line, right?
I think
that's,
so.
That's if your audience doesn't laugh at that, it's like, oh, we don't have the tone quite right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's interesting. I thought that aside was particularly funny from him as well, because it wasn't like he followed it up with, "Oh, I better run away from the court." He's just like, "Oh yeah, I'll be surprised if I make it till next Wednesday." It's so I found it entertaining, but that's probably just my weird sense of humor. Eric.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if Almachildes, or whatever his name is, Almachildes is or Alma for short, is just sort of doubling with someone else and they need to kill him off, or they just ran out of stage blood.
Maybe, yeah. Yeah, well, we'll see if he suddenly disappears now. And the Duke as well, maybe, because I just find it weird that we didn't get his murder on stage, given that he was swanning round with a skull in his hand earlier. I was expecting more to be made. I was expecting that to be more bloody, but anyway, maybe not. Anyone got anything else to add? No, then we shall move on to Act 4, Scene 2. We have the entrance of Sebastian, disguised, and Fernando.
If ever you knew force of love in life, sir, give to mine pity.
You do ill to doubt me.
I could make bold with no friend seemlier than with yourself, because you were in presence at our vow-making.
I am a witness to it.
Then you best understand of all men living, this is no wrong I offer, no abuse, either to faith or friendship, for we are registered husband and wife in heaven, though there wants that which often keeps licentious men in awe from starting from their wedlocks, the not public. 'Tis our souls knit fast, and how more precious the soul is than the body, so much judge the sacred and celestial tie within us more than the outward form, which calls but witness here upon earth to what is done in heaven. Though I must needs confess the least is honorable, as an ambassador sent from a king has honor by the employment, yet there's greater dwells in the king that sent him, so in this.
Enter Florida.
I approve all you speak, and will appear to you a faithful, pitying friend.
Look, here is she, sir, one good for nothing but to make use of, and I am constrained to employ her to make all things plain, easy, and probable. For when she comes and finds one here that claims him, as I have taught both this to do it and he to compound with her, 'twill stir belief the more of such a business.
I praise the carriage well.
Hark you, sweet mistress, I shall do you a simple turn in this, for she disgraced thus, you are up in favor forever with her husband.
That's my hope, sir. I would not take the pains else. Have you the keys of the garden side that I may get betimes in closely and take her lodging?
Yes, I have thought upon you. Here be the keys.
And he gives her the keys.
Marry, and thanks, sweet sir. Set me a work so still.
Your joys are false ones. You are like to lie alone. You'll be deceived of the bedfellow you look for, else my purpose were in ill case. He's on his fortnight's journey. You'll find cold comfort here. A dream will be even the best market you can make tonight. She'll not be long now. Oh, she'll not be long now. You may lose no time neither. If she but take you at the door, 'tis enough. When a suspect doth catch once, it burns mainly. There may you end your business, and as cunningly as if you were in the chamber, if you please to use but the same art.
What need you urge that which comes so naturally I cannot miss on't? What makes the devil so greedy of a soul, but cause has lost his own, to all joy is lost? So, 'tis our trade to set snares for other women, 'cause we were once caught ourselves.
And she exits.
A sweet illusion. Hell and a whore, it seems, are partners then in one ambition. Yet thou art here deceived now. Thou canst set none to hurt or wrong her honor. It rather makes it perfect. Best of friends, that ever love's extremities were blessed with, I feel in mine arms with thee, and call my peace the offspring of thy friendship. I will think this night my wedding night, and with a joy as reverend as religious can make man's, I will embrace this blessing. Honest actions are laws unto themselves, and that good fear which is on others forced, grows kindly there.
And there is a knocking within.
Hark! One knocks. Away, sir, 'tis she, certainly. It sounds much like a woman's jealous larum.
And exit Sebastian and enter Isabella. By your leave, sir.
You're welcome, gentlewoman.
Our ladyship then stands us in no stead now. One word in private, sir.
No, surely, forsooth. There is no such here. You have mistook the house.
Oh, sir, that I have not. Excuse me there, I come not with such ignorance. Think not so, sir. 'Twas told me at the entering of your house here by one that knows him too well.
Who should that be?
Nay, sir, betraying is not my profession. But here I know he is, and I presume he would give me admittance, if he knew on it, as one on's nearest friends.
You're not his wife, forsooth.
Yes, by my faith I am I.
Cry you mercy then, lady.
She goes here by the name on his wife. Good stuff. But the bold strumpet never told me that.
We are so oft deceived that let out lodgings, we know not whom to trust. 'Tis such a world. There are so many odd tricks nowadays put upon housekeepers.
Why? Do you think I'll wrong you or the reputation of your house? Pray show me the way to him.
He's asleep, lady. The curtain's drawn about him.
Well, well, sir, I'll have that care. I'll not disease him much. Tread you but lightly. Oh, of what gross falsehood is man's heart made of? Had my first love lived and returned safe, he would have been a light to all men's actions, his faith shined so bright. And at this point, Isabel exits and enters Sebastian, once again disguised.
I cannot so deceive her, 'twere too sinful. There's more religion in my love than so. It is not treacherous lust that gives content to an honest mind, and this could prove no better. Were it in me a part of manly justice that have sought strange, hard means to keep her chaste to her first vow, and I to abuse her first? Better I never knew what comfort were in a woman's love than wickedly to know it. What could the falsehood of one night avail him that must enjoy forever, for he's lost? 'Tis the way rather to draw hate upon me, for known 'tis as impossible she should love me as youth in health to dote upon a grief, or one that's robbed and bound to affect the thief. No, he that would soul's sacred comfort win must burn in pure love like a seraphim.
And enter Isabella again. Chelio,
Sweet madam,
thou hast deluded me. There's nobody.
how? I wonder he would miss, madam, having appointed two. 'Twere strange goodness if heaven should turn his heart now, by the way.
Oh, never, Chelio.
Yes, I have known the like. Man is not at his own disposing, madam. The blessed powers have provided the better for him, or he were miserable. He may come yet. 'Tis early, madam. If you would be pleased to embrace my counsel, you would see this night over, since you have bestowed these pains.
I intend so.
That strumpet would be found, else she should go. I curse the time now I e'er did make use of such a plague. Sin knows not what it does.
And they exit, and that's the end of that scene. Oh my goodness, the complications. I'm not entirely sure I've got this straight in my head. What's happening? So this is Isabella. So they're at Florida's house, is that right? And then Isabella goes to Florida's house because she's been told by Sebastian in disguise that Antonio's going to be there, but then he's not. Good, right. Just so we're clear. Lynn.
And Sebastian has tricked Florida into staying there, promising that Antonio will come and be with her. But really he's there to manipulate the situation so that Isabella will catch her husband and his mistress in bed together, I think. But also he's taking this opportunity to get Isabella alone to rape her. And then he changes his mind and says, no, that's the wrong way about that. And if she ever finds out, and when she figures it out, or when she'll hate me forever, and I want her to love me forever, so I'm not doing that.
I was wondering about that because I was like, did I read that right? Was he actually intending to rape her, or what, was it just that he was having doubts about the dishonesty of his plot?
No, I think when he's justifying himself to Fernando in the beginning, we're married. We're married. We're actually married. In heaven's sight, we're married, and the soul is more important than the body. So he's rationalizing his plan to seduce her, force her, trick her into sleeping with him by pretending to be Antonio, revealing that it's him and saying, "You love me, let's make love," whatever. But that first longish speech is his rationalization for what he's about to do. And then his last speech, "There's more religion in my love than so. It's not lust that gives content. And this, my intentions would prove no better than just lust. That was wrong of me. I've changed my mind. I'm gonna wait and love purely until an opportunity to consummate a relationship legitimately presents itself." That's what I think is going on.
Wow. Okay. Did anyone else have any thoughts on that point? Rachel's blue faces. Eric.
Yeah, that's kind of what I got. I mean, I missed some parts about like what Isabella was meant to do and stuff, but yeah, it just seemed a bit like, at the beginning of the play, you're kind of sympathizing with Sebastian, who's going, "Oh yeah, I came back from war. My wife has married someone else." But yeah, those are probably going, "No, that's just what you're doing is wrong, man." Like, sort of, I don't know. But yeah, I don't know, just kind of, there's no characters you can really trust in this play.
No, they're all dissembling in one way or another, aren't they? Briony, is that a hand I see?
Yeah, there was a line of Florida's that was just horrendous, absolutely just betray the womanhood, about how, because we've been caught in such snares, we just set them for other people. That's how women operate. That's what we all do. Awful woman. I don't like Florida anymore.
Yeah, she wasn't showing her best side there. Lynn and then Rachael.
Yeah, just super quick. Here's a fairly important detail that's very easy to miss. Isabella thought that Sebastian was dead. She thought he was killed in the war. So she didn't just marry this other guy because she was kind of forced into it. She married him because she thought her fiance was dead. So that reflects a little better on her.
Yeah, that's thank you for raising that, actually, because I don't think up until this point we haven't known what her motivation for marrying Antonio was. So yeah, that's the first time it's been mentioned that she thought he was dead, I think. So yeah, gold star for Lynn for picking up on that. Rachael.
I was just going to say the playwright does a great job of, I guess, setting up a situation for these characters that maybe in other plays you would feel sympathetic for them, and then immediately removing any sympathy that you could possibly have for them by the, by the way they voice their intentions. Yeah, just such good rug pulling that he's doing.
Yeah, it requires quite a lot of skill to make all these characters like so unlikable. Eric.
Yeah, and sort of, I don't know, just like there was a part of me going, yeah, Sebastian, he's hurt, he's kind of sort of, I don't know, railing about women, and then he just has this whole speech about how strumpets and women sex workers are basically like scum of the earth, as far as I can tell. If that's just it kind of, I don't know, he just kind of like there's not no redeeming factor. Maybe the redeeming factor is that he didn't go through with his plan, but like he came up with the plan in the first place.
Yeah, he did. And it's like maybe Sebastian was the one person that we could perhaps have felt a bit of sympathy for, and now that's kind of like gone now. Really. So it's really quite impressive just how feckless all these characters are. Before we move on, one thought that occurred to me while we were reading this scene. Do you think Florida or Florida is that the actor playing her is doubling with Hecate? Because that struck me as being quite a good combination, and we haven't seen much of Florida really. It just occurred to me that could be quite a good bit of doubling, but anyway, I'll just throw that out there for future ponderance. Okay, moving on into Act 4, Scene 3. Enter Francisca in her chamber above.
'Tis now my brother's time, even much about it. For though he dissembled a whole fortnight's absence, he comes again tonight. 'Twas so agreed before he went. I must bestir my wits now to catch this sister of mine and bring her name to some disgrace first to preserve mine own. There's profit in that cunning. She cast off my company betimes tonight by tricks and sleights, and I was well contented. I am resolved there's no hate lost between us, for I know she does not love me now but painfully, like one that's forced to smile upon a grief to bring some purpose forward, and I'll pay her in her own metal. They're now all at rest, and Gaspero there, and all list, full asleep. He cries it hither, I must disease you straight, sir. For the maid servants and the girls o' the house, I spiced them lately with a drowsy posset. They will not hear in haste.
And there is a noise within.
My brother's come. Oh, where's this key now for him? Here 'tis, happily, but I must wake him first. Why, Gaspero!
What a pox gasp for you!
Now I'll throat down.
Who's that called me now? Somebody called Gaspar.
Oh, as thou'rt an honest fellow, Gaspero.
I shall not rise tonight then. What's the matter? Who's that? Young mistress?
Aye, up, sweet Gaspero.
And enter Gaspero in his nightshirt.
My sister hath both knocked and called this hour, and not a maid will stir.
They'll stir enough sometimes.
Hark again, Gaspero. On, run, prithee.
Give me leave to clothe myself.
Stand'st upon clothing in an extremity. Hark again. She may be dead, ere thou comest. Up in quickly.
Exit Gaspero.
He's gone. He cannot choose, but he took now or met in his return. That will be enough.
Enter Antonio.
Brother, here, take this light.
My careful sister.
Look first in his own lodging ere you enter.
And exit Antonio.
Oh, abused confidence. Here's nothing of him but what betrays him more.
Then 'tis too true, brother.
I'll make base lust a terrible example. No villainy e'er paid dearer.
Help! Hold, sir!
I am deaf to all humanity.
List, a strange and sudden silence after all. I trust has spoiled them both. Too dear a happiness, oh, how I tremble between doubts and joys.
And all that's been going on, well, Antonio's has been going on off stage, but now he re-enters.
There perish both down to the house of falsehood where perjurous wedlock weeps. Oh, perjurous woman, she took the innocence of sleep upon her at my approach and would not see me come, as if she'd lain there for like a harmless soul and never dreamed of mischief. What's all this now? I feel no ease. The brethren's not yet off, so long as the abuse sticks in my knowledge. Oh, 'tis a pain of hell to know one's shame. Had it been hidden done, it had been done happy, for he that's ignorant lives long and merry.
I shall know all now. Brother!
Come down quickly, for I must kill thee too.
Me?
Stay not long, if thou desirest to die with little pain. Make haste, I'll wish thee, and come willingly. If I be forced to come, I shall be cruel above a man to thee.
Why, sir, my brother.
Talk to thy soul, if thou wilt talk at all. To me thou art lost forever.
This is fearful in you, beyond all reason, brother. Would you thus reward me for my care and truth shown to you?
A curse upon them both, and thee for company. 'Tis that too diligent, thankless care of thing makes me a murderer, and that ruinous truth that lights me to the knowledge of my shame. Hadst thou been secret, then had I been happy and had a hope, like a man, of joys to come. Now here I stand, a stain to my creation. And which is heavier than all torments to me, the understanding of this base adultery, and that thou toldst me first, which thou deservest death worthily for.
If that be the worst, hold, sir, hold, brother, I can ease your knowledge straight, but my soul's hopes I can. There's no such thing.
How?
Bless me, but with life, I'll tell you all. Your bed was never wronged.
What, never wronged?
I ask but mercy as I deal with truth now. 'Twas only my deceit, my plot and cunning, to bring disgrace upon her, by that means to keep mine own hid, which none knew but she. To speak troth, I had a child by Abberzanes, sir.
How? Abberzanes?
And my mother's letter was counterfeited to get time and place for my delivery.
Oh, my wrath's redoubled.
At my return, she could speak all my folly and blamed me with good counsel. I, for fear it should have been known, thus rewarded her, wrought you into suspicion without cause, and at your coming raised up Gaspero suddenly, sent him but in before you by a falsehood, which to your kindled jealousy I knew would add enough. What's now confessed is true.
The more I hear, the worse it fares with me. I had killed them now for nothing, yet the shame follows my blood still. Once more, come down. Look you, my sword goes up. Call Hermio to me. Let the new man alone. He'll wake too soon to find his mistress dead and lose a service. Sounds like someone else's line.
And exit Francisca.
Already the day breaks upon my guilt. It must be brief and sudden. Hermio!
Enter Hermio.
Sir?
Run. Knock up Abberzanes speedily. I say I desire his company this morning to yonder horse race. Tell him. That will fetch him. Oh, hark you, by the way.
Yes, sir.
Antonio whispers to him.
You speed now, or I will ne'er use thee more, and perhaps I speak right in a right hour. My grief overflows. I must in a private go and vent my woes.
And they exit, and that is the end of Act 4.
Yeah. Okay.
So, after all this plotting, all these unnecessarily complicated plotting, we finally have the outcome of one of the plots, and it all kind of goes tits up, really. Which, yeah, I can't really feel sorry for any of the parties. So, Francisca sets up this plot whereby we discover why Antonio wasn't where Sebastian hoped he would be, so that Isabella could discover him. It was because he'd actually gone back home, because Francisca had told him that his wife Isabella was cheating on him with Gaspero the servant. He comes home to sort out, to find whether his wife's cheating on him, and instead finds his own courtesan, Florida, in her room with Gaspero, who has just, poor man, has just been set up, woken up in the middle of the night, sent out in his nightshirt, and just like, yeah, bit of comic relief there. And then Antonio's in such a rage he's going to kill Francisca too, and that forces her to confess that actually it was all a plot to cast shade on her sister-in-law, when in fact she is the one who has been adulterous. I don't know that was the right thing to do, really. That was the confessing at that point was necessarily a particularly smart move. But anyway, it's all gone pear-shaped. And then it looked at the end there as if Antonio is now setting up another plot, this time to catch Abberzanes. So yeah, he's really cross. Thoughts from the room? Eric, Rachael, then Lynn.
The bit that confused me is when Antonio goes, call Hermio to me, then let the new man alone. He'll wake too soon to find his mistress dead. Is that like sort of about Gaspero or someone else? Or like who's the new man?
Sebastian.
Yeah.
Disguised as Calio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's the
works.
new manservant. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just kind of without that, it just felt like that was the line by Francisca before she left. I don't know, it just felt a bit confusing.
Rachael.
I do feel bad for Florida here. She's like I feel like she's been the least horrible of all these people. Like the only thing people are judging her for is that her profession is prostitution a lot. And she's been unfortunate to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, and everybody's doing these bed tricks, and it gets them, it gets them murdered. Now also plot-wise, I think Sebastian's plans to get Isabella to find out Antonio is cheating on her have been foiled by him actually stabbing her. So his secret gets kept, his secret that has a mistress, because even though I think Sebastian is pushing it to Isabella, I think a production could play how much does she believe it yet, because she hasn't seen any evidence of it. So that his affairs kept secret and his sister's affairs revealed in this when, she had the opposite intention of it. They're all terrible, but I feel so bad that Florida is the one who pays for it, and Gaspero, who's done nothing.
Yeah, I know, bless him. And yeah, she is the sort of the dupe in 2 bed tricks there, which is kind of, everybody is trying to manipulate and use her. Lynn, you had your hand up earlier.
Yeah, am I the only person who thought, until Sarah said something, that Antonio had actually killed Isabella? I had forgotten that it was not her, that it was his mistress, that it was Florida. So I thought, oh my God, he's killed Isabella, who is like, maybe the least reprehensible character, and poor Gaspero, who's not a good person because he's been enabling Antonio, but was certainly not guilty in this situation. So I thought, oh my God, Isabella's dead. But no, it's Florida. It's like I'm losing track, and I'm reading, like it's not happening as quickly as it would on stage, and I'm losing track of what's going on.
Well, a lot is happening in real time, though, isn't it? Dan and then Eric.
I don't want to come across like I'm absolving anyone, because I'm not. But I do think that everyone does seem to have some sort of motivation here that can be played pretty clearly. The way that they go about getting what they want, obviously, is probably not the best way to do it. But I do think that it's not like people are just doing things randomly here. Somebody's just good or somebody's just evil here. And I think that does make this for an interesting play, because I think what everybody's motivation is something that I think that audience members can relate to well.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, they're very well-written characters. This is what we were saying yesterday, wasn't it? It's like none of them are particularly likable, but they're just, because it's so well-written and well-constructed, it's like you're compelled by it. You want to sort of find out. It's like everybody's an anti-hero. Right.
And I kind of felt like that was getting a little lost here, that people are just despicable figures. It's like, yes, despicable in terms of how they're going about their business, but not necessarily in terms of how they feel, I guess.
Well, none of them think they're villains, do they? They're just
right, exactly.
They all think they're perfectly entitled. They're all massively entitled, but we see that in their psychology. Yeah, no, the psychology is pretty tight. Eric, you?
Yeah, I was just going to mention, because I wasn't here. I can't remember if we read this, but Antonia's revenge. Have we done that? Is that been covered by Beyond Shakespeare?
Yeah, we have. That was a long time ago.
It does feel a bit like, I don't know if that's a revenge tragedy or what category it falls into or whatever, or what actually happens in that play, but it just feels like that kind of, it's like, hey, we're now in a different sort of, we started off with witches and sort of Halloween stuff, kind of horror, and now we're in the more revenge tragedy route of stuff.
Yeah, now we're in a revenge tragedy. Interesting, yeah. See where it lands eventually, one way or the other, or maybe it'll do both. I'm sure I saw another hand. Rachael, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, it was kind of to what Dan says. I think on a first read, the reason what we're saying is, maybe because they are deep psychological characters, but these scenes are so well crafted, but they're so like it's like a roller coaster. Like you get whiplash, and then at the end you come out with these things, and there's so much change getting on that I think on a first read, some of this might get muddled, if that makes sense. For like, at least it's getting muddled for me as a reader, because it's like that scene we just did. It flips completely from beginning to end, and not just as the character, but as the as experiencing this for the first time. I didn't expect Antonio all of a sudden to turn around and try and murder his sister. That's like out of nowhere, even if it's in his psychology. So I mean, it is the craftedness of it is great, also to give that I don't know, that impression of how extreme these characters are.
And I thought it was interesting in this scene, the use of the people who were off, because at the beginning of the scene you had it used for sort of comic effect, because Gaspero was off, and Francisca was like calling for him, and then later on you had the same technique used for a very, very different effect, where you had Antonio off and you could sort of hear what was going on, and presumably when that was on stage that would be accompanied by all kinds of screaming and shrieking and what have you, and then he rushes back on and he's like a different person. Not a different person, but in terms of his his whole being has changed, because he's now a murderer, and he's Rachael.
To what you just said, that's also so perfect, because Gaspero could come out quickly, but then when you get back to Antonio for that, if he's covered it, like even if he's not covered in blood or something, Gaspero comes out quickly. If Antonio's coming out slowly, that's like worse. It's like that horror movie makes you sit in it moment, and doesn't allow you to get over it, to go whatever. It's so intense, I think, to play, but to watch, I think would also be just absolutely fantastic as he comes out from the dark of the what do you call it, side of the stage, from off stage,
from the wings. Yeah, I think you're right as well. There's a lot of stuff that we're perhaps either not picking up on, or that is not obvious when you're reading this, that would actually come alive on stage and make all those different characters, the individuality of their schemes and their motivations, what Dan was talking about earlier, would make it all like really come to life and be very compelling. It is perhaps a little bit confusing at times on the page, but it's one that would be great on its feet, I think. Does anyone have anything else to say, or shall we move on? Eric?
This play is titled The Witch, but I mean, you don't get a lot of stage time. I think you said this yesterday, or maybe Lynn did, where like you've got sort of, it's like an excuse for things to happen, but the witch is not really responsible for all the mayhem that's happening here. And I just realized this is sort of 5 seconds ago.
Yeah, well, as Rob said yesterday, that appears to be the most functioning family unit. Incest and all. And I mean, we had this to a degree last week as well, didn't we, with the Witch of Edmonton? I mean, theoretically the witch was the A plot, but in practice, it was kind of debatable as to which was the A plot and which was the B plot there. And certainly the witch here is seems to be more of a background figure, but I mean, when she does appear, she is very memorable, let's say. I don't know if she's going to appear again, because I've no idea where we're going with this, but let's find out. We're into Act 5, Scene 1. Enter Antonio and Abberzanes.
You are welcome, sir.
I think I am worthy on't, for look you, sir, I come on trust and troth.
More's the pity. Honester men go to it, then the slaves should escape it. What blade have you got there?
Nay, I know not that, sir. I am not acquainted greatly with the blade. I'm sure 'tis a good scabbard, and that satisfies me.
Just long enough indeed, if that be good.
I love to wear a long weapon. 'Tis a thing commendable.
I pray, draw it, sir.
It is not to be drawn.
Not to be drawn.
I do not care to see it. To tell you the truth, sir, 'tis only a holiday thing to wear by a man's side.
Draw it, or I'll rip thee down from neck to navel, though there's small glory in it.
Are you in earnest, sir?
I'll tell thee that anon.
Why? What's the matter, sir?
What a base misery is this in life now? This slave had so much daring courage in him to act a sin would shame whole generations, but hath not so much honest strength about him to hold the sword in a way of satisfaction. This shows by great guilt that thou darest not fight.
Yes, I dare fight, sir, in an honest cause.
Why, come then, slave. Thou hast made my sister a whore.
Prove then an honest cause, and I'll be hanged.
So many starting holes. Can I lighten no way? Go to, you shall have your wish. All honest play, come forth, thou fruitful wickedness, thou seed of shame and murder.
Enter Francisca.
Take to thee in wedlock baseness and cowardice, a fit match for thee. Come, sir, along with me.
Lass, what to do? I am too young to take a wife in troth.
But old enough to take a strumpet, though. You'll fain get all your children beforehand and marry when you have done. That's a strange course, sir. This woman I bestow on thee. What dost thou say?
I would I had such another to bestow on you, sir.
Uncharitable slave, dog, coward as thou art, to wish a plague so great as thine to any.
To my friend, sir, where I think I may be bold.
Down and do it solemnly. Contract yourselves with truth and zeal, or ne'er rise up again. I will not have her die in the state of strumpet, though she took pride to live one. Hermio, the wine.
Enter Hermio with wine.
'Tis here, sir. Troth, I wonder at some things, but I'll keep honest.
So here's to you now, and to your joys, if it be your luck to find them. I'll tell you, you must weep hard if you do. Divide it twixt you both.
And they both drink.
You shall not need a strong bill of divorcement after that if you mislike your bargain. Go, get in now. Kneel and pray heartily to get forgiveness of those two souls whose bodies thou hast murdered.
And exeunt Abberzanes and Francisca.
Spread subtle poison. Now my shame in her will die when I die. There's some comfort yet. I do but think how each man's punishment proves still a kind of justice to himself. I was the man that told this innocent gentlewoman whom I did falsely wed and falsely kill, that that was her husband first by contract was slain in the field. And he's known yet to live. So did I cruelly beguile her heart, for which I am well rewarded. So is Gaspero, who to befriend my love, but swore fearful oaths, he saw the last breath fly from him. You see now, 'tis a thing dreadful to abuse holy vows, and falls most weighty.
Take comfort, sir. You're guilty of no death. They're only hurt, and not mortally.
Thou breathest untruths.
Enter Gaspero.
Speak, Gaspero, for me then.
Your unjust rage, sir, has hurt me without cause.
'Tis changed to grief for it. How fares my wife?
No doubt, sir, she fares well, for she never felt your fury, the poor sinner, that hath this 7 year kept herself sound for you. 'Tis your luck to bring her into the surgeon's hands now.
Florida.
I know no other, sir. You were never at charge yet, but with one light horse.
Why, where's your lady? Where's my wife tonight, then?
Nay, ask me not, sir. Your struck doe within tells a strange tale of her.
This is insufferable. Never had man such means to make him mad. Whether the poison would but spare my life till I had found her out.
Your wish is granted, sir. Upon the faithfulness of a pitying servant, I gave you none at all. My heart was kinder. Let not conceit abuse you. You're as healthful for any drug as life yet ever found you.
And enter Lord Governor.
Why, here's a happiness wipes off mighty sorrows. The benefit of ever-pleasing service, bless thy profession. Oh, my worthy lord, I have an ill bargain, never man had worse. The woman that unworthy wears your blood, to countenance sin in her. Your niece, she's false.
False?
Impudent, adulterous.
You're too loud and grow too bold, too, with her virtuous meekness. Who dare accuse her?
And enter the not dead Florida.
Here's one dare and can. She lies this night with Celio, her own servant. The place, Fernando's house.
Thou dost amaze us.
Why, here's but lust translated from one baseness into another. Here I thought to have caught him, but lighted wrong by false intelligence and made me hurt the innocent. But now I'll make my revenge dreadfuller than a tempest. An army should not stop me, or a sea divide him from my revenge.
And he exits.
I'll not speak, to have her spared if she be base and guilty. If otherwise, heaven will not see her wronged. I need not take care for her. Let that woman be carefully looked to, both for health and sureness. It is not that mistaken wound that thou wearest shall be thy privilege.
You cannot torture me worse than the surgeon does. So long, I care not.
Exit Florida and Gaspero.
If she be adulteress, I will never trust virtues in women. They're but veils for lust.
And the governor exits too.
To what a lasting ruin mischief runs! I had thought I had well and happily ended all in keeping back the poison, and new rage now spreads a worse venom. My poor lady grieves me. 'Tis strange to me that her sweet-seeming virtues should be so meanly overtook with Celio, a servant. 'Tis not possible.
Enter Isabella and Sebastian, who is still disguised. And I am Isabella, of course I am. Good morning, Hermio. My sister stirring yet?
How? Stirring, forsooth. Here has been simple stirring. Are you not hurt, madame? Pray speak, we have a surgeon ready.
How a surgeon?
Hath been at work these 5 hours.
How he talks.
Did you not meet my master?
How your master? Why? Came he home tonight?
Then you know nothing, madame. Please you but walk in, you shall hear strange business.
I am much beholding to you your truth now, am I not? You have served me fair. My credit stained for ever. And exit Isabella and Hermio.
This is the wickedest fortune that ever blew. We're both undone for nothing. There's no way Flatter's recovery now, the thing's so gross. Her disgrace grieves me more than a life's loss.
And Sebastian exits too, and that's the end of the scene.
Ah!
Oh my. See, this is what happens when you plot. we so much happened in that scene. And some of it I don't fully understand, so hopefully other people can explain it to me. So Antonio confronts Abberzanes about his sister Francisca and says, "Oh, it's fine. You'll get married here. And Francisca is there, toast to the happy couple, and Francisca and Abberzanes drink, and he thinks he's poisoned them, but then it turns out he hasn't because Hermio hasn't actually poisoned the wine, as his master told him to. What I did not understand about that section, though, was there was a stage direction, which I didn't read out because it was mid-speech, but it was in Antonio's speech, and Eric did actually make the gesture where it says drinks. So it implied that Antonio drinks as well, which surely he wouldn't do because he expected the wine to be poisoned. Anyone got any thoughts on that?
Yes, he wanted them all. He wanted to poison himself and his sister and brother-in-law. And he's hoping that they'll run off and get married in the family chapel before the poison takes effect. But he says something about, when I die, my shame about my wife's infidelity dies as well. He's committing suicide as well. So he's expecting to die and for the other two to die as well. Yeah.
Right. So it's a murder-suicide pact. How delightful. And then Florida reappears, not dead, merely wounded.
So she's not dead. Gaspero's not dead. Hermio didn't poison the wine. This is fully pivoting to farce now.
Nobody's dead.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. Just wanted to add, though, that lots of the stage directions that are in our script are not in the original manuscript. And this is the only existing text, which includes the drinks one.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So, okay. Good to know. Thank you very much. I saw many other hands. I see Briony's at this moment.
Yeah, I'll keep it brief. Just too much plot today, not enough bitches. More dead babies, please.
Very succinctly put. Rachael, and then Elizabeth.
Yeah, just the turning into farce. I mean, everybody else's plot is foiling everybody else's plot, and it's just all, I don't know. But yes, I second more dead babies.
I assume no one watching this has not seen part one. If you haven't, there was a dead baby yesterday, which, Elizabeth, let's move swiftly on.
Yeah, there was a dead one, and there was also a living one that was just with an old lady.
Yeah, true.
Yes. I kept thinking it was Francisca's child, but I'm not sure what's become of that child. There's another baby knocking around, just sort of. I agree with Briony and Rachael. I feel like the promise of the witches was so rich in the beginning of the text. You know, they were just doing so many horrible, macabre, funny things that were just delightful and terrible. And now it's just kind of descended into kind of, as Rachael said, each person's plot is foiling the other person's plot. And I got a little bit confused. I was like, what's going on now? You know, because the Duke is dead and we didn't get to drink out of his head, out of his skull. So, but I think we need more of the witches, Hecate and the witches and all the flying. It reminded me of Wicked with Elphaba, kind of ascending into the sky with her flying monkeys. I think we need more of that excitement. The plot's kind of descending into. It reminded me of The Insatiate Countess, how everything becomes like this ensemble that's quite closed in and they're in quite close quarters, which is a bit like the Decameron, where they're all in plague. It's become very much insular. And I liked it when it was more macabre and more fantastical.
Well, it's funny you should say that. Oh, Emma.
Just very quickly, in that speech of Antonio's on page 51 there, quite an interesting plot point. He mentions that he was the one that made Isabella believe that Sebastian was dead. So he's engineered it.
Yeah.
So that he gets to marry her. And that wasn't clear before. So suddenly that's another strike against him.
So another gold star for Emma there, plot point star, because that was really easy to miss, but it's really, really, really important actually. He's kind of confessed that now. Yes. Elizabeth was saying she wanted more witches. We're now moving into Act 5, Scene 2, which you'll be pleased to know does feature Hecate. And not only is Hecate back, but Rob is too.
Yes,
He
I
has
return.
magically reappeared.
So I get to say, enter Duchess, Hecate and Firestone.
What death is it you desire for Almachildes?
A sudden and subtle.
Then I have fitted you. Here lie the gifts of both sudden and subtle. His picture made in wax and gently molten by a blue fire kindled with dead men's eyes will waste him by degrees.
In what time, prithee?
Perhaps in a moon's progress.
What? A month? Out upon pictures if they be so tedious. Give me things with some life.
Then seek no farther.
This must be done with speed, dispatched this night, if it may be possible.
I have it for you. Here's that will do it. Stay but perfection's time, and that's not 5 hours hence.
Canst thou do this?
Can I?
I mean so closely.
So closely. Do you mean to?
So artfully, so cunningly.
Worse and worse. Doubts and incredulities. They make me mad. Let scrupulous greatness know. Convolui ripis ipsis mirantibus amnes infontes redire suos. Concussaque sisto stantia. Concutio cantu freta. Nubila pello nubilaque induco. Ventos abigoque vocoque. Vaperias rumpo verbis et carmine fauces. Et silvas moveo. Jubeoque, tremiscere montes, et mugere solum, manesque exire sepulchris, te quoque luna traho. Can you doubt me then, daughter, that can make mountains tremble, miles of woods walk, whole earth's foundation bellow, and the spirits of the entombed to burst out from their marbles? Nay. Draw yon moon to my involved designs.
I know as well as can be when my mother's mad and our great cat angry, for one spits French then, and the other spits Latin.
I did not doubt you, mother.
No, what did you? My power's so firm it is not to be questioned.
Forgive what's past. And now I know the offensiveness that vexes art, I'll shun the occasion ever.
Leave all to me and my 5 sisters, daughter. It shall be conveyed in howlet time. Take you no care, my spirits know their moments. Raven or screech owl never fly by the door, but they call in, I thank them, and they lose not by it. I give 'em barley soaked in infant's blood. They shall have semina cum sanguine. Their gorge crammed full, if they come once to our house. We are no niggard.
They fare but too well when they come hither. They eat up as much t'other night as would have made me a good conscionable pudding.
And the Duchess has probably exited by this point.
Give me some lizard's brain, quickly, Firestone. Where's Granham Stadlin and all the rest of the sisters?
All at hand, forsooth.
Enter Stadlin, Hoppo and the witches.
Give me Marmaritin, some beer breach. When?
Here's beer breach and lizard's brain, forsooth.
Into the vessel and fetch 3 ounces of the red-haired girl I killed last midnight.
Whereabouts, sweet mother?
Hip or flank. Where is the acopus?
You shall have acopus, forsooth.
Stir about, whilst I begin the charm.
And there's a charm song about a vessel.
Black spirits and white, red spirits and grey, mingle, 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 you that mingle may. Titty tiffin, keep it stiffin, fire drake pucky, make it lucky. Leered robin, you must bobbin, round, around, around, about, and ill coming running in, all good keep out.
Here's the blood of a bat.
Put in that, oh, put in that.
Here's liver's bane.
Put in again.
The juice of toad, the oil of adder.
Those will make the yunker madder.
Put in, there's all, and rid the stench.
Nay, here's 3 ounces of the red-haired wench.
Round,
Round,
around,
around,
about. All ill come running in, all good keep out.
So, enough. Into the vessel with it. There, it hath the true perfection. I am so light at any mischief, there's no villainy, but is a tune, methinks.
A tune? 'Tis to the tune of damnation, then, I warrant you, and that song hath a villainous burthen.
Come, my sweet sisters, let the air strike our tune, whilst we show reverence to yond peeping moon.
And here they dance. The witches dance and exit. Dancey, dancey, dancey. We're not going to pause there because we need to complete the text as we go straight into Act 5, Scene 3. Enter the Lord Governor, Isabella, Florida, the Sebastians there disguised, Francisca, Abberzanes, Gaspero, and other people.
My lord, I have given you nothing but the truth of a most plain and innocent intent. My wrongs being so apparent in this woman, a creature that robs wedlock of all comfort where'er she fastens, I could do no less but seek means privately to shame his folly. No farther reached my malice, and it glads me that none but my base injurer is found to be my false accuser.
This is strange, that he should give the wrongs, yet seek revenge. But Sirrah, you are accused here doubly. First by your lady for a false intelligence that caused her absence, which much hurts her name, though her intents were blameless. Next, by this woman for an adulterous design and plot practiced between you to entrap her honour, while she for her hire should enjoy her husband. Your answer?
Part of this is truth, my lord, to which I am guilty in rash intent, but clear in act. And she most clear in both, no sanctity more spotless.
And enter Hermio.
Oh, my lord.
What news breaks there?
A strange destruction. Here stands the lady that within this hour was made a widow.
Who?
Your niece, my lord. A fearful, unexpected accident brought death to meet his fury. For my lord, entering Fernando's house like a raised tempest, which nothing heeds but its own violent rage, blinded with wrath and jealousy, which scorn guides, from a false trap door fell into a depth exceeds a temple's height, which takes into it part of the dungeon that falls 80 fathom under the castle.
Oh, you seed of lust! Wrongs and revenges wrongful, with what terrors you do present yourselves to wretched man when his soul least expects you.
I forgive him all his wrongs now, and sign it with my pity.
Oh, my sweet servant.
Look to yond light, mistress.
She's in a swoon, my lord.
Convey her hence. It is a sight would grieve a modest eye to see a strumpet's soul sink into passion for him that was the husband of another.
And exit servants taking out Florida.
Yet all this clears not you.
Thanks to heaven that I am now of age to clear myself then.
And removes his disguise. Sebastian is himself again.
Sebastian?
The same. Much wronged, sir.
Am I certain of what mine eyes takes joy to look upon?
Your service cannot alter me from knowledge. I am your servant ever.
Welcome to life, sir. Gaspar, thou sworest his death.
I did indeed, my lord, and have been since well paid for it. One forsworn mouth hath got me 2 or 3 more here.
I was dead, sir, both to my joys and all men's understanding, till this my hour of life. For 'twas my fortune to make the first of my return to Urban a witness that marriage, since which time I have walked beneath myself and all my comforts like one on earth whose joys are laid above. And though it had been offense small in me to enjoy my own, I left her pure and free.
The greater and more sacred is thy blessing. For where heaven's bounty holy groundwork finds, 'tis like a sea encompassing chaste minds.
Enter the Duchess.
The Duchess comes, my lord.
Be you then all witnesses of an intent most horrid.
Oh, poor knight, ever Almachildes now, better his meaner fortunes wept than ours, that took the true height of a princess's spirit to match unto their greatness. Such lives as his were only made to break the force of fate ere it came at us, and receive the venom. 'Tis but a usual friendship for a mistress to lose some 40 years' life in hopeful time, and hazard an eternal soul forever, as young as he has done, and more desertful.
Madam,
My lord,
this is the hour that I have so long desired. The tumult's full appeased. Now may we both exchange embraces with a fortunate arm and practice to make love knots, thus.
And the Duke is discovered lying as if dead.
my lord,
Thus, lustful woman and bold murderess, thus. Blessed powers, to make my loyalty and truth so happy. Look thee, thou shame of greatness, stain of honour. Behold thy work and weep before thy death. If thou beest blessed with sorrow and a conscience, which is a gift from heaven and seldom knocks at any murderer's breast with sounds of comfort, see this thy worthy and unequalled peace, a fair encouragement for another husband.
bestow me upon death, sir. I am guilty, and of a cruelty above my cause. His injury was too low for my revenge. Perform a justice that may light all others to noble actions. Life is hateful to me, beholding my dead lord. Make us an one in death, whom marriage made one of 2 living, till cursed fury parted us. My lord, I covet to be like him.
No, my sword shall never stain the virgin brightness on it with blood of an adulteress.
There, my lord, I dare my accuser and defy the world. Death, shame, and torment. Blood I am guilty of, but not adultery, not the breach of honour.
No, come forth, Almachildes.
Enter Alma.
Almachildes, have time brought him about to save himself by my destruction? I am justly doomed.
Do you know this woman?
I have known her better, sir, than at this time.
But she defies you there.
That's the common trick of them all.
Nay, since I am touched so near, before my death then, in right of honour's innocence, I am bold to call heaven and my woman here to witness.
Enter Amoretta.
My lord, let her speak truth, or she may perish.
Then, sir, by all the hopes and maids of then, sir, by all the hopes of a maid's comfort, either in faithful service or blessed marriage, the woman that his blinded folly knew was only a hired strumpet, a professor of lust and impudence, which here is ready to approve what I have spoken.
A common strumpet. This comes of scarfs. I'll never more wear an haberdasher's shop before mine eyes again.
My sword is proud. Thou art lightened of that sin. Die then a murderess only.
But then the Duke stands up.
Live a Duchess, better than ever loved, embraced, and honoured.
My lord!
Nay, since in honour thou canst justly rise, vanish all wrongs, thy former practice dies. I thank thee, Almachildes, for my life, this lord for truth, and heaven for such a wife, who though her intent sinned, yet she makes amends with grief and honour, virtue's noblest ends. Her grief you then shall never more offend you. Your father's skull with honour will inter, and give the peace due to the sepulchre. And in all time, may this day ever prove a day of triumph, joy, and honest love.
Thunk goes Antonio. Thus ends the play.
What?
I mean, it is what an ending. What an ending. I mean, it's just like all what? I mean, it's not even that it resolves in an unsatisfactory way. It doesn't seem to want to resolve anything. It's just like, and ta-da, ta-da, ta-da.
I blame the scarves.
Yeah.
I'll never more wear again.
I think my favourite moment had to be when the Duchess is doing this never-ending aside, and the governor just goes, are you done with your aside now, madam? Yeah. Thoughts from the room, Lynn?
Okay, I'm gonna kind of final thought-ness here because I have to duck out a little early, although I'm really sad about that. Yeah. What the fuckness, WTFness is not uncommon in early modern drama, but this has got to be the WTFiest thing I've ever done with this group, and that's a high bar. It's like, but and I feel kind of dumb because the introduction says it's a tragic comedy. It's a tragic comedy. And and I have seen The Sea Voyage, and I have seen A King and No King. So I know that there's these really unlikely, everything's fine, it's fine, it's fine, endings. So I kind of feel like, oh, I should have been expecting this ridiculously unlikely, but basically happy ending. But still, it's just like, it's so crazy. And again, the witch doesn't really do very much. The only thing that Hecate really does that adds, that's necessary, is that her impotence charm works so that Isabella is a virgin when her husband dies and she gets to marry her previous fiance. So that's the only thing substantive that she does.
Yeah, it's a happy story because Antonio dies off stage. And then all the unpleasant people kind of get away with things scot-free. It's
so yeah, I think that little song that that Hecate sings with the tiffin, miffin, robin, bobbin, I think that's a clue to what the tone of this needs to be. It's macabre and gross. Red-haired wench we killed. But it's also kind of funny. Those rhymes are funny. So, you know, I do not know, and I am burningly curious if this could be made to work on stage.
Yeah, it's a question of tone. I mean, you're right, absolutely. This is funny. I mean, it is funny. It's. Yeah, I mean, the Duke at the end just getting up and then going, "Hi, I'll bury the skull of your father I've been using as a drinking vessel, and now we're friends, and it's all going to be fine." And it's like, really, anyone's buying that? What? We are effectively into final thoughts, so even though we're sort of still reeling from the sort of Archer's death of Antonio. Yeah, we haven't even talked about that very much about the wonderful witches. Again, the witch is great, and you know, chatting with the Duchess. Obviously, whatever she sells the Duchess there doesn't really work because that didn't come off. So hey, so yeah, I'll go around the room for final thoughts. See if you can scramble your brains together. Elizabeth, you got some massive chunky bits of Latin there. Well done with that. Any final thoughts?
I was horrified when I saw it. I was like, oh no, why is there so much Latin in the middle of this paragraph? I loved the whole Almachildes and the fact that we never got really how to say his name. I think Dan did the best at it. And I love what he said about this comes of scarves, that he blamed the scarves for everything, that he was never going to go near a haberdasher's shop again. I think that the audience will come away from this just remembering Hecate and the witches. I think that all of the shenanigans that go on, the witches are, and the title obviously being The Witch, is what stands out most. So that's what kind of I think I'll come away with from the text.
Yeah, I mean the ridiculous complexity actually of all these interactions that's gone on seems to be the point of it. It seems to be luxuriating in all these overlapping plotty things. Emma, you've just been here for this session. Any clue?
It's all quite overwhelming tone-wise. Can you get thrown between comedy and tragedy? Like all the intentions kind of roll along like a tragedy, revenge, kill, kill, kill. But then no one actually dies at all. So you don't have that catharsis. You're kind of in comedy zone instead. So you have to kind of work out what tone you're going for. I'm thinking just really dark comedy would be good. And also I love all the witchy scenes. I think incredible opportunities for stagecraft there. I feel like the play is kind of maybe poking fun at the fact that, you know, people feared these witches, whereas it's the human characters that are the really malicious ones, really. The witches are just great fun.
Well, I mean, apart from Antonio, who died, although in my mind, actually, he's at the upstage on a trampoline, just constantly going, boom, boom. You know, he didn't die. He's just constantly bouncing up and down. Briony, any final thoughts?
I didn't enjoy it anywhere near as much today. We got a bit bogged down in plot today, and I loved all of the fantastical, dramatic, theatrical witch scenes the best. But really, really interesting to have read it so soon after The Witch of Edmonton, to have that comparison of just a completely different way of looking at witches. And although that one was not very witch heavy, the plot was so much more tied to witches in all aspects, whereas this one, you know, we know there's witches and we know they're doing bad things, but they've not necessarily been tied exactly to each action that a person does, whereas in the one last week, you know, the dog would rub against them and then they'd do something awful. So yeah, it's very interesting and different. There's lots of interesting stuff here, but the plot was a bit too dense and confusing for me today.
Yeah, it's interesting. With the witches here are functioning a bit like some of the earlier plays we've looked at, where we have sort of magical figures who solve problems. Where we've had these scenes before, where, you know, here are all my magical wares. Would you like to have a look at them? Here are the things I can do for you, with additional cat business. So yeah, it's interesting that throwback. Dan, any final thoughts?
Yeah, it's an interesting thing to make of the comparison to Witch of Edmonton, because that was actually based on a real person, a real case, probably about a dozen years after this play probably was written. I think everyone's hit the nail on the head about this being, I mean, a tragic comedy. It's a satire, and Middleton's known for this kind of thing. It's interesting to know, to understand where witches were at this time period in early modern history during the reign of James, who of course was obsessed with this type of thing, and to really to take what's going on. I'm not necessarily with a grain of salt, but the fact that everything is kind of excused, I guess, in the end, all of the bad behavior. And I think it is really just poking fun at what everyone, I guess what was probably somewhat common behavior. Well, not necessarily the killing part or trying to plot, but common plot points that people are always trying to push forward and taking it to the extreme. And the stagecraft, I think, must be exceptional for this play. And I don't think it's any accident that it goes into such detail. I feel like Middleton was really taking advantage of putting on a spectacle for it. Also, given the fact that it was staged at Blackfriars as well, although Middleton claims not so successfully. Well, who knows? He could have just been being himself or humble. I don't know what.
Yeah, you could so easily turn this into a tragedy. You feel like it should be going in the direction of tragedy at the end. You could kill all of them. You could and just have Hecate just standing there going, and I'm just really quite fascinated by just it's got all the form of how you would end a play, but without any sort of the overriding proper logic of why people are doing some of these things. And it does seem to be just having fun with that. Eric, any final thoughts?
Yeah, it's just, I don't know, like, was LSD discovered at this time? No, I'm kidding. But it feels like sort of, was it Middleton who kept writing about, like, because he also wrote a few Lord Mayor shows, right? So he kind of, didn't he keep thanking, well, also most of them did thank Master Christmas and all that for like doing the props and stuff. And I imagine that sort of, and the pageants and all that. So he must have been influenced, sort of one way or another, not necessarily by sort of writing, maybe by seeing Lord Mayor shows, just seeing the reaction to what people do, and wanting to have fun, I guess. Because like if you don't get bogged down by the whole misogyny, sex workers, and sort of, I mean sex workers in the sense of they're not treated very well in this play, neither are women generally in this, but it's just a romp basically, isn't it? Kind of like what's called it's a romp musical.
And Middleton is at least within the span of when this might have been produced originally. It has written at least one Lord Mayor show, and is heading towards writing more. So he's definitely that question of how interested a playwright is with spectacle and the production of spectacle and how you actually do it, because of course somebody's got to make it for you. So that's an interesting crossover thought. And the question about satire, and what other agendas are going on here, and how deliberate when we're talking about misogyny, about the way it's in play in this play. There are all sorts of questions about how it's actually functioning, and what the play is making of that, or what a modern production would make of that within this play, of which I haven't been present enough to make more detailed comments on. Rachael, any final thoughts?
I'm not exactly sure where to put this. It took me I think it took me on a pretty pleasant ride. I don't think it was negative for me. The WTFness elicited laughs from me sometimes, and then other points in this was very shocking because there was some stuff that I didn't pick up on right away, this being a first look, and because there's so much happening, and so much that he's really packed in here. I really liked it though, in a certain way, even if there's like the problematic stuff about it, this is all played up in a certain way. And the beats that, it's such a weird genre too, that I'm not sure really what to make of it, because it's so individual. It's so different from anything else that I've read with, and read with you guys, and also read on my own, that I'm not sure how to really talk about it in a great way. But if we return to this, I think it would be a lot of fun to do some of these scenes again, especially the witch scenes. The skull drinking, and then this guy at the end just getting up and being like, I won't drink out of the skull anymore, I'll drop it. never. It's just too weird to not be funny just a bit.
Sarah, any final thoughts?
I've had the anti-early modern drama experience with this play. Normally, I'm really enjoying them, and I'm really enjoying them, and I'm really enjoying them, and then we get to the final act, or maybe even sometimes just the final scene, and I'm like, oh, really? And with this, I've had the complete opposite, because I have struggled with this play a bit. Even though I found it intriguing, as I said yesterday, the fact that I didn't really give a monkeys about any of them particularly, it started to wear on me a bit today. And I was thinking, other than the witches scenes, which were fantastic, I loved those, but the rest of it, I was beginning to struggle a bit. And then we got to the end, and I'm like, this is hilarious. And all of a sudden, it all makes sense. And it was like I didn't get what the tone of it was until the very end, and then it's so anarchic and so bonkers. I just suddenly thought, right, that's where we're going with this play. Because up until the end of Act 4, it's heading towards like revenge tragedy territory, and then it's almost like, Act 5 he was writing on a Friday and he wanted to go down the tavern, and he's like, I know what I'll do with this. I'll just Rachael talked earlier about Middleton pulling the rug out from under everyone's feet, and it's like that's exactly what he does, and I kind of think it's hilarious, actually. I really like it now that I've got to the end.
Excellent. So we've packed quite a lot in 2 sessions. We should have given this a sort of a session more. So there may be an element of some of the confusion about what the hell was going on-ness that we had was partly because we didn't stop and start enough to sort of unpack things. But I think we've come out the other side with a pretty good idea what's going on in The Witch, even if we're not quite sure what's going on in The Witch. It's been an interesting ride. Thanks to all the wonderful readers for all their wonderful reading. Thank you very much, and goodbye. Hark, hark, the cat sings a brave treble in her own language.